Ram Sarvebhyah Swagatam. Welcome to free live webinar for children, Stories Behind Temples, virtual visit of Panchabhuta Kshetras. So let us begin with the prayer. Gurureva gatihi gurumeva bhaje Gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave Na guroh paramam shishurasmi guroho Matirasti guru mama pahi guru Bravini samskritam vacha Dhyayami samskritam hrida Kurve sevanchakayena Vande samskrita mataram Yonara samskrita vyomni Hyalayam ramate muda Samskritim chaiva samskaram Vindate natra samshayaha. So warm welcome to all of you, all the participants, the teachers and everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to honor the teachers for the course, Srimati Radha Narayanan and Srimati Charanya Kumar. So, Ram, welcome. So Srimati Radha Narayanan is a co-founder and creative head of Gurukul Fund. And she's engineer and business graduate. And she's also graduated from Chinmaya Yuvaveer program, where she has trained Indic students of Chinmaya mission. We welcome you, ma'am. And secondly, Srimati Charanya Kumar. She's a co-founder and business head of Gurukul Fund and has completed her MS from University of North Carolina, US. And she has successfully completed 12 years in corporate and has worked in many IT companies, and she'll be conducting the course. So we welcome you, ma'am. So before we start with the class, here are the basic guidelines as to how to join the class. Firstly, you will just have to open sanskritfromhome.org and log in using your credentials, that is your username and password. Upon login, you will be seeing this notification as shown in the image below, that is Stories Behind Temples. You just have to click on Join Now button. When the live class is started, you will get this pop-up notification. There will be doubts like whether can I join from PC, Android or iOS devices. Of course, you can join from any device which has internet availability, and you'll also be receiving reminder emails before 24 hours and 1 hour before. As you are aware, you'll have raise hand option, question answer section, and using headphones for the class is mandatory because for better interaction with the teachers. So, and people joining from iOS devices, Mac users, you just have to go to settings, tap on Safari and block pop-ups and just enter Sanskrit from Home, our website, and then you can join this session. All the course materials and the recordings of these classes will be uploaded in the portal. Once you log in, you just have to go to Stories Behind Temples, and in your dashboard, you will see the content page wherein all the recordings, all the study materials, everything will be uploaded there after every class. In case you have any doubts, any questions, any queries, you can always reach out to us at sanskritfromhome@vyomalabs.in. And also a sincere request to all the learners to please close all the unused tabs for at least 1 hour of this class, so that you'll not have any network issues or any other problems. So yeah, so once again, hearty welcome to all the participants. Hope this course will be a wonderful one. All the best.
Yeah, on behalf of Vyoma Linguistic Labs, I once again welcome Radha ji and Charanya ji to this course. And I'm super excited to watch our children enjoy this. Many a times I have enjoyed your beautiful sessions. And today it's going to be super interesting to watch our children enjoy these courses, these set of 6 interesting sessions with you all. Ram, Ram, Ram. And you may please take over.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Would like to see all of you switch on your video once at the start. Later you can switch it off, but at the start, just to say a hi to all of you, say a namaskaram to all of you. Namaste, namaskaram, hi. Lovely to meet you all, lovely to meet you all. Beautiful. Thank you for switching it on. So we're going to start our session with an activity, with a game. Okay. That's why switching on was very much necessary. Okay. Right. So Anusha, you're recording the session, right? I don't have to record.
Yes, we are recording it. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. Here we go. Thank you for enrolling for the session and I welcome you on board. We are going to 5 beautiful temples from the south of India. But before going in, I have something to ask you. Okay. So the activity is called Where is God? Okay. Ready? So I want all of you to take either a notepad pen or your phones or anything that you can write on. Something that you have handy next to you. Something where you can write. Okay. Ready? When I say time starts now, the activity actually starts. Okay. I'm going to give you 15 more seconds. Yes. Notepad, anything is okay. Somewhere I want you to write. This is a writing activity. It can even be a whiteboard marker. Doesn't matter. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Okay. I'm going to show you a screen. And on that screen, there is going to be a lot of images. From there, you're going to see where all you see God. Whatever you see as God, you're going to write it down. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. This is your screen. Whatever you know from here, your question is where is God? So wherever, who is God or where is God? Whatever you see here, start writing. Quick. Writing. You can write, type, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, last 15 seconds. Yeah, Amlan, what's your doubt? Do you have a doubt or do you have an answer?
No, ma'am, I want to tell the answer.
You have to wait for that. And answers are not going to be taken on, this mode. It's a different mode of answering. Okay, so you can lower your hands, don't worry. I know that all of you know all of the names, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, stop. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you could identify around 4 gods? Any 4 names written, 4 things written? Okay. How many of you did? I just want a physical raise of hands. Okay. Otherwise, all of you will raise hands and then we'll have to put it all down. So physical raise of hands. Okay. Okay. Right. Put your video on. That's why I said put your video on. Right. Okay. Now, how many of you found maybe 8 of them? Wrote down some 8 names. Okay. Wrote down some 10 names. 10 names. How many of you? 12 names. 15 names. You'll be like, there were only 8 pictures there. How can we write 15 names? Should we write the different names of the same God? It's not so. Let us see that picture once more, okay? So, how many of you, you just have to physically raise your hand, okay? How many of you wrote Rama, Krishna, Muruga, Saraswati, Vishnu, Hanuman, Parvati? Okay, how many of you wrote Swan? How many of you wrote Eagle, Garuda? Did you write the cow? How about that lion? And how many of you wrote the Gada of Hanuman? Gada of Hanuman. Hanuman is God. How is Gada the God? Okay, how many of you wrote about the Veena of Saraswati Devi? Anybody? Did you write about the Shankha and Chakra that Lord Vishnu was carrying? How about the flute of Lord Krishna? The spear of Muruga, the veil of Muruga, the bow and arrow of Rama. So, very interesting thing about Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma is that for us, everything is God. We don't say, oh, this is God, but this is not. We say everything is a manifestation of God. What is manifestation? God becomes everything. So, divinity cannot be taken apart from the thing that you're seeing. Interesting, no? That is why for us, all the trees are gods. Yeah, all the rivers are gods. Ganga Ma, Yamuna Ma, Saraswati Devi, yeah, Narmada Ma. So the rivers are gods, right? And then the cow is considered to contain 33 crore gods in itself. How? Because different parts of the cow, the functions are connected to different devatas. So it's not gods as in we have different demarcations. Okay, devatas we say, celestial beings. So what is not God in Hinduism? Nothing. Everything is God. How is the Gada the God? What is the Gada made of? The Gada is made of something. And mainly, what is the smallest unit? We have 5 important elements which make everything, right? You know what are the 5 important elements? Those are the Panchabhuta, right? The earth, fire, the air, water, and space. Space is nothingness, no? Where is space? Can you say, oh, from here to here is space. After that is not space. Can you say that? You can't even see it, touch it, feel it, but still, even that is God to us. The earth that is supporting us, on which we are sitting right now. Anybody floating in air now? All of you seated on the earth? Yes? Very good. So, the earth is supporting you. Have you ever thanked the earth? The earth has been supporting you for how many years now? How many years? Since you've been born, right? Have you been floating in the air since you were born? Earth has been supporting you. What do you eat? Where does it come from? From Bhuma Devi, from Bhumi Ma. Again, we always think of everybody as God, everything around us also as God. That is why we have respect towards everything. And that gratitude is created. It's not like, oh, I am human being. I am the greatest creation ever existent, so I can do anything. No, we worship nature so that we are thankful. We have that gratitude towards nature. So what happens? Because we are grateful, we want to protect it. We want to preserve it. We want to take care of it. So all our rituals, if you see, in some way or the other, we are actually being thankful to nature. We are doing something for nature. Correct? Okay. How many of your homes, in how many of your homes there is a practice where you keep some food for the crow before you eat? Do you have that practice at home? Many Indian homes have that practice. It doesn't matter whether you are in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, North India, South India, it doesn't matter. Crows are important. We think of them as ancestors. So we are feeding the crow before we eat. Correct? It's not after we eat that we feed. First, before we eat. Correct? And then In how many of your homes outside your house, your parents make, your mother makes that beautiful kolam, the rangoli. Yeah, they make the rangoli. It's not just to show off that, hey, I know to make nice rangoli. It is not just that. It is your duty to feed even the ants. So we are not just feeding the birds or the big cows, even the small ants. We don't let go of them also. We feed everybody. So the rice flour that we use for the kolam is food for the ants. Like that, everything is a manifestation of the divine, is all a form of God. So we respect, we worship everything around us. Especially everything around us is made of these 5 elements, right? So today onwards, for the 5 sessions that we are going to be together, we are going to go to very special temples which are connected to these 5 elements. Lord Shiva, in the form of these 5 elements, is worshipped in these temples. Okay, so he has different names and different stories, Sthala Puranas, according to the places. But it is Lord Shiva, one God in different forms. Yeah, so that is what we're going to see over the 5 days. So if you see in all of these places, what is that? That is Kailash mountain, right? It is after all a mountain. We should be worship a mountain, but we worship Kailash. It's not like Lord Shiva sits on the Kailash. Kailash is Lord Shiva. That is how we worship. So if you ever get a chance to speak to somebody who's gone on the Kailash Yatra, you will know that they go around, the Parikrama is around the mountain, but nobody can go completely around the mountain. So there are so many things like that, where we worship the mountain, where we worship even snakes. In every other culture, snakes are feared. In our culture, snakes are fed, not feared. We go and overfeed the snake. In fact, the snake will be like, hey, stop feeding me. I want to go somewhere else. That much we feed the snake. Correct? So that is what we do. We feed the snake, we feed the cow. Why? We see divinity in everybody. Right? So what is that temple? Anybody knows what is that temple? Bottom, in the bottom half, second picture at the bottom from the left. You know the temple? Mahidhar, do you know the temple?
Ma'am, I don't know the temple name, but you said that we should pray. We should pray for the snakes, but they will bite us when we go to near them.
Or have you ever gone to a snake put, the snake pit? Have you ever been there?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever tried? See, you should try. You are not going to put your hand inside and hurt the snake. Obviously, the snake will bite you if you do that. Okay. So let's reserve the questions in the end. Okay. But let us keep going forward. But I want these questions, very interesting questions. So this particular temple, it is the Konark Temple. It is for sun god. And it is built in the form of a chariot. So we worship all forms of the nature, and today we are going into the Panchabhuta sthala. So the Ekambareshwara temple is what we will be covering today, and this is for Lord Shiva in the form of Prithvi, or the earth. So Ekambaranatha or Ekambareshwara is his name, and this particular temple is in Kanchipuram. Okay, the others that we will be seeing over the next few days are, one is Jambukeshwara for water. And there is an interesting story why he got that name Jambukeshwara. It is in Tiruvanekaval. And then there is Kalahastishwara. And this is for air, the element of Vayu. And this is in Srikalahasti. Arunachaleshwara, the temple for fire, Lord Shiva in the form of fire. And this is in Tiruvannamalai. So the mountain itself is considered as Lord Shiva. It's not just Lord Shiva in the temple at the foothill of the mountain, but the mountain itself is considered as Lord Shiva. So hold on to your doubts. If you have any, please write them down, because I want to really have a very interesting Q&A towards the end. Okay. And finally, it is still in Nataraja for space in Chidambaram. Yes, it is called the Chidambara Ragasyam. We will be seeing all that in due course. Okay. So where are we going today? I just told you, this is the Ekambareshwara temple in Kanchipuram. So there are many legends to this temple. So every temple will have something called a Sthala Purana. Sthala means this place where the temple is. Purana is the story that is connected to that place. Okay. So Sthala Purana of this place is what we will be seeing first. Before that, the Sthala itself is very, very, very important. Kanchipuram is such a place that every now and then there is a temple. It's not like the temples which are very important, very huge and all of that, they will be neighbors. From one temple to another, if you have to go, you don't have to travel a long distance. It's just next to each other. And it is not just Shiva temples, it's also Vishnu temples. So there are over 1,000 temples in Kanchipuram, and there is also Shiva Kanchi and Vishnu Kanchi. Vishnu Kanchi has a lot of Vaishnavite temples, the Vishnu temples, and Shiva Kanchi has a lot of Shivan temples. So this is one of the Saptapuri. Saptapuri means 7 holy places where moksha is guaranteed. So it is given in our scriptures that Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dwaravati. So Dwaravati is Dwaraka, Puri is Puri, Avantika is current day Ujjain. Okay, so like that, each place, Maya is Prayag, and Kashi is current day Varnashi, and Mathura, you know, and Ayodhya. So these are the places which are very, very holy. So we are going to one of the holiest places today. And this was not just a spiritual capital of the south, it was also very rich in trade and commerce. And you obviously know, if there is a wedding in the family, where do we take the textiles? It all comes from Kanchipuram. So it has a very rich native tradition of weaving. Yeah, so that is there. Then the Kanchi Mutt is there, where Sri Adi Shankaracharya, the ancient, the first Adi Shankaracharya had visited, had stayed for a long time. And also the Kanchi Mutt has a lineage of gurus whom we follow till date in many of our homes, right? And this was also a thriving education hub. Like Kanchi had its own university, and many of the deans of other universities got graduated in the Kanchi University. So imagine how great it would have been. And it was under the Pallavas those days. So this is about Kanchipuram. Let us go into the temple now. Okay. So hold on to your questions. If you have a question, hold on. I'll answer it in the end, because I see some raised hands. So as you enter the temple, what is the first thing that strikes you? It is the Gopuram. So Gopuram is the tall tower that we enter through, and the Raja Gopuram here is really, really tall. This is one of the tallest Raja Gopurams in India. So it is around 192 feet. So if you have gone to the Puri Jagannatha temple, that is almost the tallest in India, and that is around 210 feet. And this is 192 feet. So imagine how tall this Gopuram is. And it has 11 tiers. You can quickly count 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count like that. And right in the middle, can you see there is like a tapestry, which is orange in color? Yeah, so that is where our Sthala Purana comes from. So that is basically, you'll see one beautiful imagery of Parvati Devi hugging a Shivalinga. Okay, and in fact, Lord Shiva has a name that came from the story, which we will see shortly. So this is the beautiful Raja Gopuram where we are entering through. And in this temple, there is also a Vimana. You know what is the difference between a Vimana and a Gopuram? The Gopuram is the tall entrance. So if you see in the Dravida architecture, the South Indian temples, you will see that the entrance has a tall Gopuram. But when you go and inside where the Lord is residing, that again will have a tower, but that is called the Vimana. That is just above the Lord, right? So that is called the Vimana. So the Vimanas are usually shorter than the Raja Gopuram, usually. Okay, so there are temples where the Vimana is much taller. You would have seen the Brihadishwara temple where the Vimana is taller, right? So in this temple, it is the usual style where the Vimana is short. Okay, and let's go into the story now. What is the story? Why did Parvati Devi come, and what happened here? So it is a land, it's called a blessed land, especially because Parvati Devi herself came down to do tapas here. Yeah, why does goddess have to do tapas? God is somebody who has all the powers and keep granting, right? For them, they have so much powers that they can keep granting tatastu, tatastu, and we'll keep getting everything that we want. But do we get everything we want? Don't we have to work towards it? And whom do we take as examples or role models so that we follow their footsteps and work in those directions? Gods themselves take avatars and do their leela like this, all their play like this. They don't have to do all this, but they show as examples so that we follow those examples. Okay, so once what happened in one of the Puranas, it is said, the Lord Shiva is usually always into meditation, right? He loves to retreat from the outside world and be within himself. And, he's usually of that type. So once what happened, he's also called the Adi Guru, right? So he's a teacher and he was teaching everybody. And Parvati Devi saw that it is a surprise to her that her husband this time was not in meditation. He was actually talking, he was teaching and all of that. So she was very happy. When you're very happy and you don't want the other person to see you, what do you usually do? You will go from behind slowly and close their eyes, correct? Have you ever done that? Yeah? You have done that to your loved ones, your friends, your sister, brother, and all of that? Yes? So like that, Parvati Devi went from behind, closed Lord Shiva's eyes. Then started the trouble. When you close the eyes of the Lord, whose eyes are actually symbolic of Chandra and Surya, that means all illumination is gone. All illumination in this world, gone. So complete darkness. So what happens when there is darkness? There is a lot of chaos, right? There is a pattern to how this universe works. And there is a chaos when there is something disrupting everything. So it was just a matter of a few seconds and then Shiva opened his eyes. But in that few seconds, so much of problem was created in the creation because there is a relative time difference. If you see, just a few seconds in God's times will be for us very, very long yugas and years, right? So there was a lot of damage that happened in the creation. So Parvati Devi was like, it was just a few seconds. I wanted to play with you. But then Lord Shiva was like, you should know the consequence of living in the world and facing, suddenly there is darkness all over. So you have to live in the world to understand that. And Parvati Devi took it upon herself and said, yes, I regret my mistake. Yeah. So I want to repent. I will take a birth in this world and I will do sincere tapas to reach you. She was born in this world and she took up tapas. She did various things, but the length of time she had to spend on the earth was causing her a lot of pain because she's away from her Lord, right? She starts missing him. She wants to be with him. So what does she do? She does tapas, penance. So severe penance is how Lord Shiva will keep his eyes on you. Otherwise, Lord Shiva is always secluded and he's always with himself, right? So she decided to gain his attention by doing tapas. So she did tapas. First, it is said that she did tapas in the Mangadi region, where her tapas was so fiery that all the trees and everything caught fire around her. It was creating so much of heat. So she left that place. She came to Kanchipuram, and here on the cooling banks of river Vegavati, she made a beautiful Shivalinga out of mud. And she started praying to that Shivalinga. And every day, puja, archana, meditation, everything happens. And then what happened? Lord Shiva decided, okay, her time is almost up. Let me test her. Because Lord Shiva, for him, he's always unbiased. Whoever it is, it might be his favorite devotee or his own wife or his own son, it doesn't matter. Somebody does a mistake, somebody has to be tested. He is the perfect teacher. No bias. Okay. So what does he do? He tests her. What does he do for testing? He first creates, fire from his netrikan, his third eye, and that puts the tree on fire, the tree under which she's meditating. And this is a very important tree. This tree is a mango tree. Okay, so the tree catches fire and she's sitting there, and see what can happen is it can damage the linga, right? Which she is thinking of as her own Lord. So she tries to protect the linga, and she does prayers now, not to Lord Shiva, but to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, is considered to be the brother of Shakti, that is Parvati Devi. So she calls out to her brother and says, please help me. There is nothing that you can't do. Come on, this is a situation, I need your help. And Lord Vishnu immediately steps up. And what does he do? He turns the Chandra that is there on Lord Shiva's head, the crescent moon. He turns it such that the Chandra's cooling rays comes onto the tree, and the tree is back to normal. So this was the first test. Now the second test, what Lord Shiva does is he sends Ganga. So Ganga is on his head, right? So he says, go, destroy that linga and come. So Ganga comes in full force, and Parvati Devi knows that she is not doing it out of her intention, but Lord Shiva is sending her. So what she does, Ganga is like her own sister, right? Both of them have been together in Kailasha for so long. So what she does, she strikes a sisterly deal with her and says, hey, come on, I've been doing tapas for so long and you're coming, and if you do this, then what will happen to me? And immediately Ganga feels empathetic and she says, okay, I will divert myself and go. I will not touch the Shivaling. So again, Parvati Devi wins. Okay, the third and final. Now the river Vegavati, on the bank of whom actually the Prithvi Lingam is there, and where Parvati Devi is doing the puja and Archana, that Vegavati river now is on Lord Shiva's side. And Lord Shiva orders her to go and flood the whole place. When the river rises up, can the lingam stay anymore? It is after all made out of mud, right? What will happen? Mud or clay, it will just dissolve in water. So when she rises up, Parvati Devi doesn't know what to do. She just hugs the lingam with so much of love and devotion that Lord Shiva is not able to test her anymore. Lord Shiva himself gives up and he melts in her love. And that's why he got the name Tazhuva Kuraindavar. That is, when she hugged, he melted in her hug, in her love. So that's why he got the name Tazhuva Kuraindavar in this particular place. So this is the story of Ekambaranatha. And why Ekambareshwara or Ekambaranatha? Eka Amba. That is, he is under that one single mango tree. But this mango tree is very, very interesting, because it is said that it has 4 types of mangoes. So usually in one tree, you will get only one type of mango, right? But this tree is very special and it is considered to be 3,500 years old, that old. And this is the Sthala Vriksha. So every temple has something called a Sthala Vriksha. Sthala Vriksha means in that place, it is native to the place, and also it has been there from the olden times. So that is also worshipped. When you go inside the temple, you go around a tree, right? So that becomes that is actually because that is a Sthala Vriksha of that place. So here it is Ekambareshwara because Eka Ambara, the arm tree is there. So that represents 4 types of mangoes. It has 4 types of mangoes, and that represents the 4 Vedas, or the knowledge that the mango can give you. Okay, so it's all symbolic. A lot of things are symbolic, and this is inside the temple. Every temple, almost the olden temples, if you see in Tamil Nadu especially, you will see Ayiram Kal Mandapam in most of the temples. What is this Ayiram Kal Mandapam? Ayiram Kal means 1,000 pillared. So 1,000 pillared mandapams. Why do you think such huge mandapams are built? Why? Just because the king has a lot of money and he can build a lot of temples and a lot of mandapams? Is it like that? Or is there a reason to it? Anybody who can answer can put your hand up. Okay. You have to put your video on, otherwise how will I listen to your answer? Put your video on and I can. Okay, Vaishnavi?
For everyone to stay.
Very good. Very good. So those days, the kings were responsible, not just, the temples were not just places of worship. The temples were also cultural centers. That is where people went to learn dance, music, sculpting, everything, right? So many people had to stay. And the places, the chatrams where they stay, were the temples. So they were feeling protected by the king also. It's also because the place of the divine, right? So they will be disciplined and behaved. That is one more thing. And free food, annadanam will be given. So everything will be taken care of. So that all these people who are going on pilgrimages, do you think they have so much of money that they can pay everywhere and they can book a hotel and stay? It was not like that back then. So if you are a Shiva devotee, a Vishnu devotee, you're going on a pilgrimage, people there in every town where you stay will take care of you, either the people or the king. So there are places, the public places where you can stay. And one such place will be the temple. And the temple has the Ayiram Kal Mandapam. It is not just a place to sleep and get up and go. It is also a place of study. Universities were built. So much was written in these places. Vedas were learned here. So such things also happened in this temple as well. Okay. So this is how the inside of the temple will be. As you proceed inside, yes, of course, the mud lingam is there, right? So because it is made of mud, every day if you do abhishekam, what will happen? What will happen? Will it just stay like that? Or will it go away? Wither away? Yeah, either. Tell me.
And it will dissolve.
It will dissolve, it will disintegrate. We don't want that, right? We want to preserve our lingam and the tree and every place there. So we will create something called the kavacha. Kavacha is something like a cover for the lingam so that it is not destroyed. And the abhishekam is done only to the yoni, that is the bottom part of the Shivalinga. Have you seen the Shivalinga? There is a part like this, and then there is a covering like this, and then there is a bottom. So the yoni is the covering like that. Only for that the abhishekam is done and not for the Prithvi Linga, because we don't want it to disintegrate, correct? So it is conical in shape. It is not like the regular lingam where it is cylindrical or something like that, right? So this is conical. And interestingly, our kings also knew a lot about architecture and about the sun and moon's journey, right? So they will know when exactly which month and which Krishna Paksha or Shukla Paksha, which phase of the moon, the sun rays will directly come inside and fall on the idol. So that way, it is said that 19, 20 and 21 of Falguni month, okay, Panguni, which went just by, end of March it must have been. So that is when the sun rays will directly fall on the deity. Okay. And very interesting, when you have to go 108 times around one linga, that is very auspicious. But here, if you go once around the corridor of the temple, the inner corridor of the temple, there are 108 Shivalingas. So it is equivalent to doing 108 pradakshinas. So one time if you go around, one pradakshina means 108 pradakshinas. And also inside there is something called a Sahasra Linga. Sahasra means 1000. Okay, 1008. Usually we say, we don't say 1000. So Sahasra Linga is inside. So when you go once around the Sahasra Linga, it's as equivalent to do 1008 parikramas. So interesting, right? Amlan, hold on to your question. I'll answer it in the end. Even if you have to share one observation, you can either type it out or you can wait till the end. Okay, so that we can cover everything. Right. And then interestingly, this temple has a temple in a temple. What is temple in a temple? So there is a Vishnu temple, a Divya Desam it is considered, inside this particular temple. One of the 108 Divya Desams is inside here. Why? Because Lord Vishnu came to help his sister, right? On the right time, he came to help his sister. So he, with gratitude, people have built one temple inside this temple, and it is Nilatunda Perumal. So Nilatunda Perumal is what? The moon, he shifted the moon. He put one, he took a fragment of the moon and shifted it towards Parvati Devi. So Nilatunda Perumal has his place in this abode of Lord Shiva. Now, what makes Lord Shiva's temples very interesting are the Nayanmar stories that are connected to these places. Okay, so who are these Nayanmars? So Nayanmars are great devotees of Lord Shiva. They might be anybody. They might be a young boy or an old man or a lady, or they could be somebody like a wealthy businessman or a very poor person who goes fishing, a fisherman, or it could be the king, or it could be a minister, or it could be just a washerman. It could be any profession. You could be born in any family. You could be literate or illiterate. Some of the Nayanars know so much. Some of the Nayanars don't even have the basic education, literacy, but they are all considered Lord Shiva's favorites. Why? Because Lord Shiva doesn't see whether, oh, you have sung 5 poems to me and he sung only 3, so you are better than him. So that is not how he operates. Lord Shiva has a name called Ashutosha. Have you heard of this name? Ashutosha. Ashutosha means the one who will get happy very easily. He can be made happy very easily. So it doesn't mean that anything we do, he gets happy, but the intent of devotion, if it is there, even a small act can become a prayer to Lord Shiva. That is what it means. So all these Nayanmars have committed themselves to Lord Shiva in some way or the other. What kind of a commitment? For example, one of the Nayanmars will say, every day I will give one meal to a devotee of Lord Shiva. Through the devotee, I will serve the Lord. So that would be a deal. So come what may, whatever is the situation, I won't say, oh, today I had to skip. Very sorry, Lord Shiva. Tomorrow I will give you 2. It's not possible. So every day, consistently doing their sadhana, that is how these Nayanmars became what they were. Okay. So today we are going to see the story of 2 of those Nayanmars. One is Tirukkurippu Tonda Nayanar. So Tirukkurippu Tonda Nayanar was actually born into one of the Vannar families in Kanchipuram. So these are washerman family. Okay, so he is a dhobi. Dhobi is somebody who will wash, clean your clothes. So what is the intent inside him? It is not about cleaning dirty clothes alone. Through cleaning people's clothes, he's mentally cleansing himself of all the negative thoughts, all the ill, intentions, obsessions, fears, all that also he's cleansing from his mind as he is doing his job. So he has made one promise to Lord Shiva that every day he will serve at least one devotee of Lord Shiva by cleaning their clothes. Because these are people, I told you, once they become devotees and they go from one temple to another, they don't have so much money to spend everywhere, right? They are all dependent on the society to serve them. So some places they will give food, some places they will give clothes, some places different things like that. So once it happened that every day he has to do it free of cost for somebody, for some Nayanar or some Shiva Bhakta, right? So that particular day he did not find anybody, and then came one old man. So this is Lord Shiva loves to test his devotees. Why does he test his devotee? He knows, right, that the devotee is very devoted. Does he not know? Does he want to test that person to get more confidence that that person is devoted to me? Does Lord Shiva require that? No, right? Then why does he test his devotees? He tests so that many of these devotees, what they do, the world doesn't know. They don't go about the world saying, you know what, I'm doing this for Lord Shiva. They never say. So how will other people get inspired? So he will put a challenging situation in front of his Nayanars, and the way they tackle that situation, the purity of heart which they show in tackling that situation, from there, so many others will get inspired. So that is why Lord Shiva does of these tests. Okay. So one such test was coming up. So that was the turn of Tirukkurippu Tonda Nayanar, right? So what happens? Lord Shiva comes as an old devotee. So old person with very shabby clothes and almost torn clothes and all of that. Okay. And then what happens? This Nayanar approaches him and says, oh, please give me your cloth. let me at least wash it and give it back to you. It is a sunny day, so it will get dried soon. But this particular sadhu says, no, I don't want to give it to you because I have only one cloth. One cloth only I have, and if I don't have it in the night because of any reason, so and so reason, and suddenly it rains or something happens and you're not able to dry the cloth, then what happens? I don't have a cloth to wear, and in the cold season, in the night, I will just tremble and I will die. So my body cannot take the cold like that. So I don't want to give you my clothes. But Tirupuri Putondanayanar was very adamant, and he said, I want to take your clothes. I want to serve you. It's a very bright and sunny day. It can never happen that, it rains. But finally, he convinced that old sadhu, took it. He did the cleaning, put it for drying. Then what happened? The climate changed. It rained and rained and rained such that it never dried. And he had to give it by evening, right? Because this sadhu had to travel somewhere else. He's not staying back and he will tremble in cold. So what does he do? And this sadhu was very clear. I want only my cloth. You cannot give me some other cloth. I want my cloth. So when these sadhus are very clear about what they want, what can this Nayanar do? So what did he do? He said, I regret my decision. I should have never done this. And now because of me, one old sadhu who is a devotee of Lord Shiva, he is going to tremble in cold. So I don't deserve this birth. And he started hitting his head on the stone where he will wash in, right? Those days you don't have buckets and this and that. They go to the river, they wash on top of the stone. So he started hitting his head on the stone saying, Lord Shiva, please give me a solution. And suddenly when he started hitting, he noticed that it has become very soft. What? The stone has become very soft. Is it possible that the stone becomes very soft? No, right? So it was actually Lord Shiva's hand there, and Lord Shiva manifested, took an avatar to just save him and to give him the reassurance that this is just a play, this is just a trick of mine. So I wanted to show your bhakti to the world. And that is when Tirupuri Putondanayanar got moksha and went with Lord Shiva. This is one story which happened in Kanchipuram. Another interesting story, this is a pretty long story, so let me make it quick, okay? So you must have heard of Sundarar. How many of you have heard of Sundarar? Anybody? Yeah? Good. So Sundarar has a very different connection with Lord Shiva. Okay. So Sundarar's connection with Lord Shiva. So different people have different connections with the Lord. Some of them think of him as the father. Some of them think of him as a friend. Some of them think of him as a guru. So in one such way, Sundarar thinks of him as a friend. So how did this happen? Because Sundarar was one of those who was serving Lord Shiva in Kailash. Okay. It happened once that he is very sincere in whatever he does. But once it happened that when he was serving the Lord, his eye turned towards two lady assistants of Parvati Devi. So they were serving Parvati Devi. Their names were Kamalini and Anantini. So Anintini and Kamalini were serving Goddess Parvati. And when it was just a minute second, okay, it was not even looking there for a long time. It's like when you're serving, you just, your eye jumps there and comes back. So when that eye jumped there and came back, who noticed? Lord Shiva noticed. Lord Shiva said, oh, my friend, that desire came into your hand, into your heart like this and went out. So even when you have one desire which has to be fulfilled, Kailash is not the place for you. Only when you are fully detached and you don't have any desire other than being with the Lord, you can be in Kailash. So you have to take a birth in this world. And now Sundarar was feeling very, very bad. And he was really requesting for forgiveness of the Lord and saying, I'll do anything. But then Lord Shiva said, I have my own plans with you. Please be born in the world. So Sundarar went. He was born in the world. So remember his mission. There is a mission that Lord Shiva has thought of for him. So Sundarar is born. So he is born as Nambi Aruran. And he was a very beautiful child, okay, right from his younger days. So the king happens to see him, and the king adopts him and says to his parents, right, I want to adopt this child because he looks so charismatic and he looks like the next ruler to me, and I don't have a child, so let me adopt the child. So Nambi Aruran starts growing up as a prince. So as a prince, you will have everything that you want, right? There is nothing that you don't have. So his attention deviated towards something else, and he was going to get married. And it was on the day of his marriage that a crazy sage came running into the marriage hall, okay, to the mandapam. And he shouted out, he's an old man, and he shouted out saying, stop the marriage. How can you get married? You are my slave. Without my permission, how can you get married? And then this Nambi Aruran is like, I'm the prince. How can I be your slave? And then he says, yeah, I have proof to show that you are my slave. And there was arguments this side and that side and this side and that side. Now Nambi Aruran got really frustrated, irritated. Imagine the most beautiful day of your life. You are looking forward to get married, and on that day, somebody comes and spoils the whole thing. Think of it like a birthday party, okay? You have been working for that birthday party. You have been, enjoying the thought of having that birthday party for so long. And one fine day, on the day when you're enjoying, you're going to cut the cake. Somebody comes there and says, how can you cut the cake? You're my slave. Can you ever agree to that? How will you feel? That is how Nambi Aruran felt. And he said, I'll go to any extent to prove him wrong. And the old man said, I have proof, you come with me. And all the people also followed, and Nambi Aruran followed him, and they went, and there was that was a temple of Lord Shiva. So this man, old man, when he reached the temple, he rushed into the temple. He ran into the temple, and Nambi Aruran chased after him. And before he could catch that old man vanished. He went into the Sannidhi, vanished. So now, kind of, before vanishing, there was a quick conversation with him. Okay, when nobody else was there, only Nambi Aruran was there. That man came about and said, don't you remember who you are? You are Sundarar, and I am Lord Shiva. And you have been sent here to serve me. And what are you doing? You are enjoying life. You are doing this, doing that. You have forgotten all about your mission. And that is when Sundarar, it's like, an alarm clock. And when it rings, you wake up, right? Like that, Sundarar felt like he has woken up. And he felt now he has to do his duty to Lord Shiva. He has to go from place to place to place and sing the glories of Lord Shiva. He started doing that. And in fact, his words had such miracle, right? So when it had so much magic that when he just sang praises of Lord Shiva anywhere, to help somebody else. It's not for fulfilling his own desires, right? He won't sing and say, I want a chocolate cake. Okay. What he will do, he will sing for somebody who's so poor, or sing for somebody whose health is so bad. So immediately Lord Shiva, as soon as he hears the praise, immediately grants a wish, saying Tatastu, whatever Sundarar sang for, may it happen. So this went on for a long time, and he was known as a great legendary devotee of Lord Shiva. And when he came to one of the places, it's called Tiruvarur. When he came to Tiruvarur, he met a beautiful lady. And she was also serving the Lord. She was also a devotee. And her name was Paravayar. Okay. So her name was Paravayar. And Paravayar was a person who will make garlands for the Lord, somebody like that. So she used to, and Nambi Aruran, that is Sundarar, suddenly felt his heart skip a beat looking at her. And then he immediately recognized, hey, I have felt this before. And then he could connect. Who is that? She is Kamalini, one of the attendants of Parvati Devi. So it is destined that they marry each other, right? So now Lord Shiva is like a friend to Sundarar. So he just mentally speaks to Lord Shiva saying, see, I want to marry this girl, but how do I go and ask her whether she likes me? And Lord Shiva says, don't worry, I will do the job for you. And Lord Shiva is like a very nice friend, he goes and conveys feelings of Sundarar to Paravainachiyar or Paravayar, and both of them get married. Both of them live happily for a long time, but Sundarar has to travel. He has to go from place to place praising the Lord, right? So he felt suddenly that after marriage, he's settling in one place for too long and he has to start traveling again. So he takes the permission of his wife and he starts traveling. And now, when he travels for a long time, after that, he reaches a place called Tiruvattriyur. Tiruvattriyur is actually in Chennai. Okay, very like in the outskirts, but Tiruvattriyur is in Chennai. So there is a beautiful temple here also. Okay, that is where this happened. So of course, there he met Sangaliyar, Sangali Nachiyar or Sangaliyar. So who is this Sangaliyar? The other attendant of Parvati Devi. You remember the names? Kamalini and Anindini. Okay, Aninditi. So Aninditi and Kamalini. So both of them. So here it is Sangaliyar. Now again he felt the same feeling, and now Sundarar again convinced Lord Shiva to go and ask her whether she can marry him. So when Lord Shiva goes to Sangaliyar, she is very clear. She just says one thing, saying, I am okay to marry him because he is the great devotee of Lord Shiva, right? Great devotee of yours. And I am also a devotee of yours. So I am very, very happy to marry him. But he's already married. What if he marries me and then leaves me and again starts traveling and again goes back to his old wife? What will I do? And then she says he has to, make a promise to me. He has to make a commitment that he will not travel after he gets married to me. He will only be with me. So now Sundarar, so Shiva comes and conveys to Sundarar, and Sundarar says, how can I do that? How can I not travel? But I want to marry her also. What to do? So he tells Lord Shiva, Sundarar tells Lord Shiva, here's the plot. Okay. He tells Lord Shiva, so I will promise to her, but you will not be in your Sannidhi that time. I will promise to her in front of your Sannidhi. What should you do in that time when I am promising? Because I cannot fake promise in front of you, right? So when I'm doing the fake promise, you quickly go and stand near the tree. Okay, that's Stalavriksham in Tiruvattriyur. You stand there. I will promise her, and then you can come and sit here again. So the promise doesn't hold good because it is not done in front of you. So Lord Shiva says, okay. But Lord Shiva, he is unbiased, right? So how can he be biased towards Sundarar? So Sangali Nachiyar is also his devotee. So what does Lord Shiva do? He goes to Sangali Nachiyar and says, see, I am going to be in the tree and not inside the Sannidhi. So don't ask for promise in front of the Sannidhi. Ask for the promise in front of the tree. That is when he will get caught. So Sangali Nachiyar says, okay. Next day, both of them meet, Sundarar and Sangali Nachiyar. Sangali Nachiyar asks for the, the promise. Sundarar is going to make the promise, but Sangaliyar says, no, not in front of the Sannidhi. I want you to promise in front of the tree. And then now he's in a fix. What to do? He knows that Shiva is in the tree. So, but still he could not do anything but promise her. So it was not a fake promise. It was a real promise. And he had to keep it up. But then he lived happily with Sangaliyar for some time. But then his urge for traveling and singing the Lord's song, his desire to go from temple to temple, it came in. So he had to leave. The moment he left, Lord Shiva, I told you, Lord Shiva is unbiased. Even Parvati Devi, he had to give one punishment, means he had to give. He didn't say, oh, after all, my wife, why should I punish her? He didn't say all that. So when it is his favorite friend, his favorite devotee also, he won't, he won't have a bias. So what did he do? He took away his eyesight. So he became blind. Sundarar became blind. So did Sundarar stop? No. He went from temple to temple to temple despite being blind. And then he was so at places, he started asking, you are this great, that great, please give me back my eyesight. And at one place, he became so irritated that he shouted at Lord Shiva saying, I've been going from temple to temple to temple. Every time, whatever I ask for, whatever I sing for, you immediately give. Now I've been asking for my eyesight for so long and you have not given. What is this, Lord Shiva? Are you deaf? Are you not listening to my prayers? And when he shouted out like that, Lord Shiva, it seems, immediately answered back saying, yeah, I'm able to listen. Take this and go. He threw something at him. Okay. Do you think it is his eyesight that he restored? No. He gave him one stick that blind people use. Blind people need one stick. So look at the kind of relationship these two have, right? So he's throwing a stick and saying, now you will be more comfortable, even though you're blind. So now Sundara takes the stick, goes from place to place to place, again praising the Lord, but hoping that someday he will get back his eyesight. So finally, it is at the Ekambareshwara temple when he reached that he got his eyesight returned. In one of those temples, earlier visited temples, he will get half his eyesight, but not full. So finally, in Ekambareshwara temple only, he got his entire eyesight restored, and he had completed a complete circuit of all the Shiva temples, and that was Sundarar's journey. Yeah. So imagine so much he had to do, but finally, where did he get the boon? Kanchipuram Ekambareshwara. So that important this temple is. This temple is some place where it's not easy, right? To pray for something and get it immediately. So here it is said that you pray for it, you get it. And the Amman temple, that is Lord Goddess Parvati's temple here, is called Kamakshi Amman temple. Very, very strong, powerful temple. So people, when we go to Kanchipuram, first thing they will visit is the Amman temple, Kamakshi Amman temple. Then only they will go to Shiva and Vishnu. It is Amman. So in Kanchipuram, that is what it is known. So this is Sundarar's story. And yes, Goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva get married, again reunite after all the tapas that she did, right? So they reunite on Panmuniutram. So Panmuniutram is literally like what do you say, the marriage day of most of the deities. So if you see Muruga's story, Muruga was born on a Panmuniutram day. He got married to Valli and to Devayane on the Panmuniutram day. Rama Sita marriage happened. Then Sri Rangam, it is Lord Narayana's marriage with Ranganayaki. So everything, everybody's wedding day is the same. Imagine all people having same wedding day. How nice it will be. So such an important day it is, Panmuniutram. It just passed by, and Gurukul made a beautiful video for compiling all the stories and significances of this particular day. So you can go and watch that on our YouTube channel. So this is the Panmuniutram Festival. And on the Panmuniutram Festival, actually, 10 days it is celebrated, not one day. 10 days. Even a marriage at your place, how long does it happen? Huh? If you have a marriage happening at your place, maybe 1 day, 2 days with reception, maybe a few pujas, maybe 3 days. Okay, Sangeet and all that, 4 days. Here, 10 days, full of festivities. And people will be pulling the tear or the chariot. And every day the Vahana will change. So one of those Vahanas is Ravana. You can see that Ravana was a great Bhakta of Lord Shiva, right? So one of those Vahanas is Ravana there. So like that, 10-day Brahmotsavam happens at the Ekambareshwara temple for Panmuniutram. And this is quite a sight to watch. And it's like marriage means so much of fun and festivity, right? Same thing happens, especially when gods get married, so much more fun, so many more rituals, customs, all that is there. So that is what is about the Ekambaranatha temple, Ekambareshwara temple. So every day that we are meeting here, we are not going to let you go with just a temple in mind. We are also going to throw an interesting challenge for you to do. Okay, why are all these series important? This series is important so that we understand and become more aware about our culture, about our temple, so that we have the feeling to safeguard them, correct? So like that, we are going to try and throw interesting challenges for you about our country, about our culture, about yourself, right? So the first day challenge, that is today's challenge, is going to be constructing a family tree. So how far behind can you go? That is, you know your parents' name. Do you know the grandparents' name? That is grandparents on both sides. Mom's dad and mom, dad's mom and dad, right? So grandparents on both sides, and then their parents. Do you know their names? Do you know what they were? That is, what kind of professions they were into? Where were they? Maybe you are staying in one city now. Maybe they were not there in the same city. They might have been somewhere else. What kind of language did they speak? What do people remember about it? Some people say, oh, that Tata, he is a terror, you know, he gets angry too soon. Oh, that party, she makes this particular dish so well. So there are things about that person that people remember over the ages. So this is what we want you to do. We want you to speak to your parents, your grandparents, and however far behind you can go in the family, and try and get those names, and try and get at least one attribute about them. What kind of a person they were, or where did they work, what kind of work did they do, which place did they come from. So this is your day one challenge. We will be sending across a Google form, which you can upload. You know, it can be in the form of a PowerPoint or a simple written sheet. You can take a picture of the sheet and upload whatever it is you want, in whichever form you want to do it, you can upload. Okay. And we will look through all that and meet you next. That is tomorrow. Tomorrow before we meet, is it possible? Can you try? Can all of you try? Yeah. Your grandparents might not be living with you here. They might be somewhere else, but still, can we try? At least talking to them and seeing how many, because we have tried this particular activity with many kids before. Okay. At least with 100 kids. And some of them could go up to 4 generations before. 4 generations. Okay. Let us see how many of you bring 3 generations, 4 generations, and what your grandparents did. Because there were people, there were kids who came back and said, oh, my parents are teachers. I thought even my grandparents or great grandparents would have been teachers. But 2 generations before, we were farmers and now we are teachers. So there is so much that has changed in the family. So like that, you might also come up with something else, right? Okay. So great. Lovely. Thank you so much. I will stay back for questions for another 5-10 minutes. Those who want to leave can leave. Those who want to ask or listen to the answers can stay back. Okay. Right. 10 minutes worth of questions I will take. Rest of it we will take some other. Okay. Charao. Yes. Namaste.
Actually, ma'am, if we can submit this family tree next week, I'll be able to do it because we are going to my grandparents' house on Monday.
You start the assignment. Let's see if you can build on it. You can do one more entry by next week. Okay. But you
Because
try, you attempt to. Tomorrow you start attempting.
My grandparents can know up to 5-6 generations.
Great. Let's see. Then you will be the record holder in this assignment.
Not everybody, but at least 2 people, Party and Tata, they can go.
That's it. Lovely. Let's try, let's try and dig as much as possible. Yeah. You might get to know more things than what your parents already know. You might be the ones telling your parents, you know which lineage you belong to. You might be telling your parents that. Right. Okay. Ramcharan, what's your question? Unmute.
Yes, ma'am. You told they will give food and to the devotees. They will buy clothes and give to the devotees every day.
There are people who would give it every day. For them, that is the service to the Lord. Service to the Lord is service to the devotee. So there were people who, even these days it is there. Have you heard of pandals? Pandal. So these are pandals means those are places where either food is given or buttermilk is given or water is given, but perennially throughout. So it is set up in particular temple towns so that these are the places where all the pilgrims keep coming, right? So they will support that way. Every place. For instance, there is something called, have you seen Narmada River? So there is something called the Narmada Parikrama, where people go around the river Narmada, and it takes anywhere by foot. If you go, it takes more than 3 months, 4 months to complete it. Okay, by foot. If you go by car or that and this, maybe it will be quicker. But when you're going by foot for 4 months, what can you carry with you? You cannot even carry so much of water, right? And you cannot carry so much of cash. So there'll be people throughout the way who will be feeding you, who will be giving you free food or free water. To them, it is only that spot. But to you, like that, it will be in every spot. So that is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. For us,
Then,
serving
ma'am-
God in the form of people is considered to be a service. Okay?
Ma'am, how do they get supplies?
Sorry?
How do they get supplies?
They,
The
see, for
people-
instance, they will do what they can. For example, somebody has a dairy farm. They will get curd every day. For them, they are selling curd. Okay, a person who is having a dairy farm will be selling curd. So instead of selling curd that day, he will keep 10% of his products as service. I will only give this free, but this I will sell. You understand? So the dairy farm guy will do that. A granary guy, the guy who has rice farm, he will be serving rice probably. So like that, it varies. Even the merchants, everybody has a quota of service. So their quota of service, they can choose how they do it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Mahidar.
Yes, ma'am. Now you told the two stories, they are different or they are same, ma'am?
Two different people. Sundarar is a different person from Tirukurip Tondanayana. Each Nayanar has a different story.
Yes, ma'am. Sundar, he lost the eyesight when he is walking or when he promised only
The minute he went beyond Tiruvattriyur, when he went outside of Tiruvattriyur, gone, eyesight gone. Because he promised and he broke his promise.
Ma'am, again he got full eyesight or only half? For only
He
one
got
eye.
half at one place and then fully recovered when he reached Kanchi. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, his story itself is a big kavyam. You can actually look it up, read and all that further. Okay, I just told you a glimpse of the story. Yeah, Amlan. Quickly unmute, please. Yeah.
In that temple, in 1920-21, will it only be sunlight, or like in other days also will be sunlight?
So
Or only
it is on. So that is the point. See, good question. What is the calendar we follow? I told you Falguni, right? So the Falguni month will transition according to the lunar months, right? According to the solar and lunar month. It is not the Gregorian calendar. So you won't say 28th of March it will come. It might come 26th of March, or sometimes it will come 2nd of something, right? So it is in that month. The Gregorian calendar we don't see, not the English calendar. We will see the Hindu calendar. Okay, and it will be the 19th, 20th, around that time in the Hindu calendar.
in Hindu
Every
calendar?
year, yeah, because we see, right, every year the festivals don't come. Every year Diwali, same day it comes. No, it's according to the Indian calendar. Okay, very good. Yeah. Who else? Yes, Tejas. Please put your video on, Tejas.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there somebody with a question? Then you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll finish the session. Chitra, do you have a question?
Ma'am, why should we keep Dwajastamba in front of the temple?
Why should we what?
Why should we keep Dwajastamba in front of the temple?
Okay, good question. We will start with your question in tomorrow's session, okay? Because I have a video on this and I'm going to show you that. So we will start with this in tomorrow's session. Is that okay, Srivatsa?
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Lovely. Lovely. Yes. Yes, tell me.
Will we be receiving the recordings?
Yes, yes. You will receive the recordings, you will receive all the slides connected to the temples, all that will reach you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Bye.
Okay, see you all. If you have any questions, tomorrow probably we can try to sign in a little early. So we can answer a few questions and then go into tomorrow's session. Is that okay? We can also ask how your experience was based on your assignment for the day. Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Ram Ram
Jai
ma'am.
Shri Krishna. Ram
Bye,
Ram.
Bye ma'am.
Namaste. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram. Namaste.